Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com.
Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, episode 188. Do you have any idea how close we're getting to the 200th episode?
Well, I guess that'd be 12, right?
Yes, math works, folks. Woo! That's nowhere near science. That's what they call math.
Stay in school, kids.
And you're good at it, and I'm so impressed.
No.
No?
No.
No.
Terrible
it is right.
at it.
That's 12. I think that's right.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm just bad at everything else.
Oh, well, that's okay. But you got math down, and that's like half the battle. G.I. Joe. So, welcome to Seat Time. We are the online show for the off-road enthusiast. If you like riding dirt bikes and drinking beer separate of each other, this is definitely the show for you. We're going to beer drink and bench race our way through some of the things that have happened this past week, and maybe even other weeks, and maybe even next year. We can see in the future. We're that good. So episode 188, we've been doing this for a while. Looking forward to the 200th episode. I think you're going to have to come on. Do you remember what happened at the 100th episode, Steven? Not really. The table started without beers, and the show ended with the table full of beers. And Sam Reynolds was involved.
Oh, good old Sam. So it's going to be a party. Right? So it's going to be a
it's
party.
Pretty much like, hey, come sit around a table. We get many more mics, and we just stream that.
Okay. Start talking about dirt bikes and then kind of taper off.
And everybody else and things, and it gets nasty and fun. So, of course, huge thanks to the guys that do support Seat Time. Of course, Fly Racing, flyracing.com. You can go find out more about the 2016 gear that all the badass dudes are wearing. Their high-vis stuff was really sick at Monster Energy Cup. And then some of the supercrosses that everybody saw, I was pretty bitching. So flyracing.com, thank you for their support. Of course, Kenda Tire USA at kendatire.com. What's bitching there is the fact that they've got so many. They're really making a great push into the off-road market, and not just kind of like, hey, here's our off-road tire. They're really kind of trying to create tires that, for a while there, we didn't really think we needed. But once you start riding on the Equilibrium and some of their gummier tires, they really do make a huge difference. They last a lot longer than people expect, which is what you want out of a tire because they cost so much money. And then what's even better is Kenda's not super expensive. So you're going to go get the Dunlop gummy tire at $180, or you're going to go get the Kenda gummy tire at $100.
Right.
You know, even if you want to try it out, that's still a better deal.
I was up in Kansas the other day, right next to Missouri. Actually, I was in Missouri. And we went to like 4 different dirt bike shops, and every one of them had that tire. Like, that's really popular up in Missouri for, riding on rocks and whatnot.
Yeah, riding on rocks. And
slick
then, of course, too, it starts getting slick. Whoo, buddy. Then you're like, yeah, I want that not in me, but on me. And by on me, I mean on my rear tire of said motorcycle. So kendatire.com. Go to your local dealer, of course, and you can find all that stuff there. And something you can't find at your local dealer, but definitely you should be checking out is stillwellperformance.com. Stillwell Performance is the place to go if you want to get better suspension for your off-road riding and or racing. They're riders, they're racers, and they love doing what they do, which is working on dirt bikes, specifically suspension. Now, if you have anything with 4CS, so you're running a KTM or a Husky, they've had a lot of people that have had issues with 4CS. They're definitely one of the people. You go read the reports from Dirt Rider. They're only company out there to get 5 stars in their work. Ooh, that's been tested by Dirt Rider. Nice. So that's pretty bitchin'. Of course, so you can check them out, stillwellperformance.com. Let them know Seat Time said hi. And remember, keep her pinned. So we do have a chat room, tlk.io/Seat Time. If you guys want to get in here and chat, we're going to have Jason Rains on. And then, of course, Dale Spangler. We're going to be talking about all kinds of fun stuff with the new Yamahas that have been coming out, especially even their side-by-side, which just sounds like a raped ape when it drives by, which is amazing. And then the Dirt Buzz. I'm excited to listen to what Dale has to say. He's told me a little bit about what's going on there. But to get more, I think that's going to be pretty bitchin'. We do, what else recently has happened? Endurocross, right?
Yeah.
Here's the second to last round, the Pin Ultimate, if you want to get all kinds of fun and crazy. The Pin Ultimate round of the Endurocross series was in Boise, Idaho. And we were kind of like thinking, okay, well, Cody Webb, is he going to extend his point lead? How's this going to go? And then we get Colton Hakers the winner. Yeah. And now we know the point lead kind of got trimmed up a little bit as we go into the last round in Ontario. But you said you saw some videos or something.
Yeah. Hacker came from the back. I guess he went down early on and worked his way all the way to the back and ghost rode over the finish. But I guess if you're just exhausted, that's okay.
Was it just lack of commitment?
think it's like this would look cool, man. Maybe not. Not like Brian Deegan full on ghost ride over the Supercross in Las Vegas and whatever 95 or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, just kind of like I won, but that's okay. I can't talk. I mean, that dude's a man. So.
Right. He is the man. He is a man.
He's the man. It comes in Durocross.
Right.
What are you texting
just,
somebody over there?
To, get shit done at the same time.
We're in a show and you're texting,
when you
man.
type into a form field, you're like, and then you're like, wait, that was the search form field, and then you realize that everything is now shifted and thinking, and you're like, I can't get back to the other form field.
I thought you're supposed to be good at multitasking. I mean, you're all into
You see this gray hair, 36 coming in? That's what multitasking does to you.
It's getting
It
tough.
It's good, bad, or indifferent at it. It creates issues. I'm not even going to talk about the rest of my body. So, of course, and then if we had the West Coast Hair Scramble series, we saw Axel Pearson on beta get his first win. Congrats,
nice.
dude. I mean, you're a pro. You've got to remember what that was like to get your first win in the pro class. I mean, that's gotta
Absolutely.
be
It's
a joyous day.
Yeah, and especially when you're 15 and it's your only source of income. It's great. It's great.
Yeah?
The extra $200, you go take to school and spend on candy bars.
Yes.
But, different perspective.
Right?
So, yeah, it's a sweet feeling. Sweet.
I hear you. Well, now you've been a KTM rider for a really long time, so we're going to do some talking tonight about
6 years.
The new Yamahas. So what were you riding though before you went to KTM? So you were on green machines?
I rode gas for a while, and then I rode 450s in 08 and 09. Rode Cowie 450s in 08 and 09, and that was great. But I mean, they're just heavy and bulky, so I went back to a two-stroke. But yeah, I rode some gases for a while, and that's pretty fun,
Was gas kind of like your big boy bike, which you jumped up to when you kind of like started getting I guess at the time like 250 two-strokes?
I think I rode a 200 whenever I first turned pro. I got a EC 200, right, and then 250 after that.
Okay.
Great off-road bikes, So
yeah, and then up to the four-strokes, and then over to the. Have you ridden the KTM four-strokes?
Yeah, I've ridden a 450, raced a 450 one time, and dude, they're just amazing. Way too much power.
You were like, I don't need that.
I was in between bikes, and I got a loaner from the shop, and it ended up working really well. And it's like kind of didn't want to give it back, but had my two-stroke coming back in, but just a powerhouse, Yeah. And then I haven't rode one of the 16s. I'm itching to because they've done so much with the motor and the chassis. I'm kind of itching to go ride one of those, but but no, at heart, I'm a two-stroke man.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, here's the thing. I know it looked like we're having a little bit of connection issues. Are we going to be able to get audio? Because if we could just get audio, then that'll work out too. If we could figure that, because the reason why I was kind of like, I wanted to set a little bit of precedence. We've talked a lot about what I've ridden in the past. Everybody knows that I've ridden Yamahas for a while. And
yeah, you're a big Yamaha guy for a while.
So, what's going to be neat is we're going to have Jason Rains on, and we're going to be able to get a chance to talk about that. But I wanted to set that kind of up for everybody with yourself.
Yeah.
So that way they know too that you're big two-stroke background, but you've kind of got that four-stroke background as well. And even when the bigger bikes, the 450s, we all know that. Like, what I've talked to is, like, I'm not a 450 rider. I've never in my life wanted to be on one. I've ridden 400s. I've ridden 426s. I've ridden the 450s and been like, I never want to own one. Like, they're all other people's bikes. So I like the smaller bore.
Yeah.
I like kind of revving it out when I want the power, but then not having it when I don't need it.
It's a whole nother ball game. It's like, what do you mean I'm going to come into this corner, shift down, not use my clutch, not use my back brake, and just use the front brake? It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's a whole nother ball game.
Indeed.
So,
Jason Rains, we got you. It sounds like we've got audio hooked up. Are you there? How's your evening going?
Good, man. Yeah, I tried a couple times on video and it just kept cutting off. So I guess where I'm at in the middle of the woods in Tennessee is not going to work for video.
That iPad knew that we were so sexy. It's like, I can't compete. But everybody who out there, we did see a Yamaha hoodie. So just to if anybody knows his boss, just let him know. Yes, he had the goods on, right? He was representing.
You got to represent,
yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. Well, okay, so you're in Tennessee. I think you're actually getting ready to come to Texas to come do a demo day here down at Oak Hill. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're actually my truck will be there, but I got to be out in So I got since I got 2 trucks and trailers on the demo programs. We got Wayne. He's my kind of my right hand man. He's going to be at Oak Hill this weekend. I got to be out at Kahia Creek on Saturday, Sunday, and Glen Helen on Monday. So it's always tough, as this program's grown, to be at the same spot, at the same time.
Right. Yeah, and recently, the past couple of years, you guys have done the event at Trophy Club, and now you're going to be down at Oak Hill and stuff. So at Trophy Club, you could get a little bit more trail, obviously a little bit less moto, but now at Oak Hill, you're going to be able to get like all moto. And if you want to get balls crazy, they got some big old jumps out there too. That you can hurt yourself. Someone like myself could easily do that. So I'm going to try not to. But we'll see how that goes.
Well, they're big jumps. They only got like 2 big ones, and they're tables. So I mean, I guess it's probably a pretty good demo track over some of the other ones,
Right.
But you got some trail back there.
Yeah, because they've had a couple torn races and such of the thing such of the like.
It's like a patch of trail.
A couple times have come up.
Yeah, it's like a patch of trail. They got like an acre of actual woods,
right?
And then it's all just field and berms and jumps and
grass track.
Lots of grass track.
Nice. So, of the 2016s, I wanted to ask this because you kind of get the marketing hype. You kind of see the marketing. You kind of know what they're trying to tell us in that. But I want from you, Jason Rains, like when you're talking to people about the 2016 lineup, what do you tell people? What is it that you want to get across to everyone the most when it comes to talking about the new 2016 machines?
Well, I guess, Yamaha's finally done what we wish they, for me, when I was racing, we wish they would have done a long time ago, which is make us, an off-road ready, race bike. It's, people, including myself, when I first saw the YZ250X, it's like a, standard YZ250, 18-inch wheel O-ring chain and a WR train from the outside. But when you actually ride them back to back, they're really and truly like 100% totally different motorcycles. The motor's different, power's different, the handling's different because the suspension's valved better. Same thing with the YZ450FX that we're getting. It's very similar to the YZ, but the heavier flywheel, so it tames the power down, easier to ride for us in off-road long distances. The suspension, is spot on. I mean, you have to do the springs for your weight, but the valving is it's ready to race. I mean, put some guards on it, put some flex handlebars on it, and FMF exhaust, and go and rip it.
Go and win yourself a championship. I wanted to know, so with the 2050, in 2015, you guys came out with the 250FX, a machine that everybody was like, holy crap, that's awesome that they finally did it. I think people have been asking for it. As you said, even you had, and you'd probably been asking for it when you raced for them, and not in a WR model. So that happened. That came out. Now, how close into those bikes selling when they came out that you guys were like, holy shit, we have to make a 450, and we need it now?
Well, see, what happened in the beginning was, the 250FX was a pretty easy bike for Yamaha to make. It's the same chassis, same suspension, package, same swing arm, same, plastics, everything's the same. They added electric start and put a battery on it. And so then they was kind of a test bike. I think between us, I think it was a test bike for Yamaha to kind of test the off-road grounds. And the biggest concern in the beginning was that the YZ250FX was going to take away from the YZ250F sales. So it was going to be, we're going to see less 250F sold and more 250FXs sold, where it was opposite. What they thought, the 250F is still selling where it was at in, say in 14. And then when this 15FX came out, those bikes were kind of standing on their own pedestal. So that's what I think convinced Yamaha to like, okay, let's come out with the 250X, because the thing that we've been, that everybody has been telling Yamaha for years is, these 252 strokes, there's still a lot of guys out there racing two strokes. I mean, that's, you go to the Virginia series, for example. I mean, they're majority of people, when you look at their, graphs after each number, a lot of guys are still riding two strokes. Same thing with the national enduros. Yes, the pro guys are, a lot of them are on four strokes, but a lot of your support classes are still two-strokes. So they wanted to come out with this X to be able to say, okay, the 250X is an off-road specific bike. Every sale that we get because of that bike is because it's going to an off-road rider, not a motocross rider.
Right.
So gauge those sales. And then that's where, the last key to the puzzle has been the 450FX.
Interesting. Well, so we were talking about that because of the fact that you're a two-stroke rider. Now we're seeing this 250X. You're primarily a 300 though, is that correct?
No, I ride a 250.
You ride a 250, but do you do a lot of mods to it? You do. I know that you have in the past had some crazy setups where you've gotten like XCWs and like put SX heads on them, or vice versa.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to be riding a W, and it has a better different chassis. It's a PDS system, and so I'd make it a little bit more motocrossy. With a little higher compression head and an 18-inch wheel. But that's just kind of a Texas preference for me. Now, if I was riding in the Northeast, I would definitely be on an 18-inch wheel, and I'd probably leave the lower compression head, But that's just more of like a kind of a Texas thing.
Because of the way that you know that we're always dry.
Where it's dry, slick stuff. So 18 is probably not as good as in dry, slick, And then our stuff's a lot more wide open, so I leave a SX head on. Or put an SX head on.
Right.
Sorry.
No, but okay. So for what he's saying, do you think the 250X, that there'd be a lot of mods that somebody like yourself would want to do or need to do to this kind of machine?
Well, it sounds like the only thing. Jason, correct me if I'm wrong. What all have y'all done on this? Is an 18-inch rear wheel, an electric start, and then better suspension, right?
Well, the 250X doesn't have the electric start.
Oh, it doesn't?
From what I believe. Is that right, Jason?
No, it's got an 18-inch wheel. It's got a thicker base gasket, lower compression. It's got the WR, wide ratio tranny where, first and second are lower than the YZ, and, fourth and fifth are higher. And then it's got off-road suspension. And then the biggest difference that I see in the power is they got different port timing, and they have really radically, when you look at them side by side, the exhaust is totally different. Like the silencer's the same, but the exhaust is it's a lot different. Which that to me, like riding a 250X, it feels a lot like when Wibbly, when he had a YZ280, the big bore, kind of not a 300, but it was a 280 kit from Yamaha. It felt a lot like that. Where the YZ, the standard one, I mean, when you're riding it, you're going second into the corners. And then you shift a third out of the corners. We're on the 250X with the pipe and the combination of things. You just carry third gear. It feels to me like and I get that comment a lot from people that have a current, say, KTM 300 that ride the 250X. They man, this feels a lot like my bike. I don't have to shift that much. It's got plenty of torque.
That's interesting. When you said that, that's exactly what I thought of, is how like Brian's story, when I got on a 300, that's what he reminded me and taught me. He's like, you're on a 300 now, you don't need to shift as much. He's like, you can be in third a majority of the time. So it's interesting to hear that that's like an exact comment that you were getting from people that have ridden the 250X.
Yeah, and that wide ratio transmission's really that makes a bigger deal than people realize in off-road. Like that's really because you might be 5 miles an hour in, a creek bed, or you might be running across a field doing 80. So, that's off-road, you know? And so that wide ratio transmission, that's awesome. I'm glad that they're doing that.
Heck yeah.
Well, so to me, the biggest differences are, comparatively to if you take the two bikes, YZ, the motocross version, and the X, the X is not a rever, it's not a, you don't rev gear to gear, you short shift, you use the bottom end, torque, you pull higher gears. But as far as like over rev, it doesn't have near the over rev. But one of the things that a lot of friends I know that ride the J-Day, they were kind of like, hey, we want one more snap out of this. So they put a FMF exhaust, because the FMF exhaust is going to be the same for the motocross and the off-road, and that livens the power back up if you want to have more snap.
A little bit of fine tuning there, of course.
Yeah, and then so I would imagine that you guys have EFI for this coming out next year.
On
The
the
250X,
The 2-stroke. We're gonna go direct
the
injection.
direct injection, or fuel injected, or however whatever funky thing, some marketing term somebody's going to come up with for some newfangled dangle. I mean, but that's, and obviously we're in that sense joking. But what I love is that every year, for some strange reason, people bitch and complain that Yamaha doesn't ever change anything. But Yamahas are still great bikes, and they've been great bikes for a really long time. I think that they're the ones that make big changes every 10 years, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? And so they do a lot of time doing a lot of R&D on these bigger things where they tweak little things a lot less. And so it maybe feels like, because you're not getting these big, huge changes every 2 to 3 years, that it's like, you know what, we made a fantastic motorcycle that doesn't break and that rides great, and you guys can have a shit ton of fun on. So why do all that kind of stuff? And it's like, you took that YZ250 that worked really well, made the changes that you knew you needed to make it a great off-road machine, and bam. And sure, some bold new graphics and some plastics, but other than that, did it really need anything else? Do you think, Jason, that it's really missing anything from any other newfangled dangle stuff that people talk about, in the 2-stroke or even in the 4-stroke world?
I mean, we all looking for direct injection. That's been a talk of a subject for years, and I know the technology's out there for every manufacturer, just nobody will pull the trigger for whatever reason. But the base package on really on a YZ250 2-stroke, they made the small change to the X to make it a off-road bike, but the base package has been the same for a long time. But it's been a while ago. I rode Zach Osborne. He had a YZ250 2-stroke motor in a 2013, YZ250 4-stroke frame, plastics the whole 9 yards. And he let me ride it after this, and the frame was a lot more updated than the YZ 2-stroke, but it wasn't like night and day handling different. So the package is still there. That's one thing that I've always loved about Yamaha from our standpoint when I was racing, was it was easy to test year to year. Okay, the bike's a little bit different here, the suspension or whatever it was, but your base package was very similar. Same for our race team, for the Ampro team, and for my XC2 team is, year to year, it's extremely easy for us to keep progressing because there's not big changes. It makes it easy from a racer standpoint as well.
Yeah, KTM changes their chassis pretty often, and about every 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. And that's a big deal. Changing everything no longer, and changing their suspension too. So because we're in 4CSs now, and that's always a struggle to go testing from bike to bike.
And and to that point, like, we still see minute changes in the 4CS every year. Mm-hmm. So it's like
can't use the same stack as last time.
Right. So that's got to be, so for that's just at us at our regional level. Obviously, if Caleb got a chance to go national, I think it'd be awesome, and he'd do really well. It'd take him a while to get used to it, but you'd hang.
I'm an old truck driver now.
Yeah. By old, he's like 28, 4.
Yeah. Prime. He's still prime age.
I know. He could do it. Okay, so let's talk about the 450FX a little bit. What has been some of the reactions to that bike? I would assume when I rode the 250FX against the 250XC, when we did that comparison last year with Jordan, which is an awesome video that you guys can go find on YouTube. When we did that comparison, you could immediately tell how much punchier the 250XC was versus the 250FX, the Yamaha. Now, we talked about it in our video. That's exactly how we broke it down, and that's why we chose the FX over the XC, in the sense if that's the bike I was going out and buying right then and there. Then we had David Powell, Patch. He actually just made that exact same switch. He switched from a 250XC to the 250FX and did a write-up on the Seat Time website for us about it, and he even said, he's like, I just feel like I'm not as fast, but the numbers prove that I'm faster on the FX. And he attributes it to the way that the engine produces power for him. Like, he's so used to the KTM and the XE being punchy that he didn't feel that with the FX, so he thought he was going slower. But in the long run, he was actually riding smoother and going faster. So how does that translate to the 450? Do people notice that difference, and have they felt, or maybe that numbers are showing that they are going faster and maybe having more energy because it's not as punchy as maybe like a KTM 450?
Well, and that's the that's always, any one of us as riders, big misconception is because the bike is snappy and explosive and throwing dirt everywhere that we're going faster. Where if you take the YZ250F versus the 250FX, same type of analogy, where the YZ250F, snappy, explosive, for motocross, that's great, but for woods, we need traction. We need to have control. We need to go in order to go forward. Number one thing is you got to have traction.
Yeah.
So if you YZ450 versus the 450FX, it's going to be almost identical to the analogy you gave versus the YZ or the KTM versus the YZ250X. Is you're going to see on the YZ450FX, it's going to have a lot smoother power delivery, more traction. It's just the biggest difference for each one of these FX models is the flywheel. I mean, to be honest, the WR250, WR450, the YZ250FX, and the YZ450FX all share the exact same flywheel. It's 10 ounces heavier than the YZ models.
Right. Have you guys played around with lightening that up on any of the race teams? I don't know if I would say that like somebody like myself would really ever need to play around with that, or if somebody were to make that aftermarket part. But if you played around with the race team wise of putting maybe like somewhere in between what would be on the YZ and then between that and the FX.
You can't. We tried because Ricky Russell he wanted more snap, so we played around with trying the YZ flywheel, which absolutely will not work. And then we thought, well, let's try to let's take it to a machinist and shave some weight off. But you can't shave 10 ounces. I mean, that's a lot of metal shavings.
Right.
When Wibbly rode the 450 WR back in 2010, he did the same thing. He shaved the WR flywheel as thin as they could go without, messing something up. But you're still... I see it at the demo events. Like, guys that want snaps, they're going to lean towards YZ, the 2-stroke, the 4-strokes. But the guys that are looking for more tractability, they're going more FX. For me, when I was racing, I was looking for more snap. But now getting older and stuff, I'm looking for that tractability. And I know everybody. That's the funny thing about doing the demo events with so many different, types of riders is we're all looking for something different power handling, suspension, ergonomics, the whole 9 yards. But the difference, like I said, the main difference you're going to see if you currently ride a YZ450 and you jumped on the FX, you're initially going to notice the power is going to be less abrasive, less snappy. And the suspension, like if you ride a bone stock YZ450 and you jump on a 450FX, you're going to be like, man, this has been fully redone by Factory Connection. This is like their A-kit stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting because that was one of the things that David Powell, our friend Patch, was having the biggest problems with on his KTM, that finally he was like, I'm done. Like, he had a 350, could never get his suspension dialed away, got a 250, liked the engine, but could never get his suspension dialed in, sent it off to multiple people, but he did not send it to Stillwell Performance. I'm just saying, they did an awesome job on my 4CS, so they check them out. And then he got rid of the bike and got on the Yamaha and did nothing to the suspension. Literally, I tried to remember what he wrote in his article. He might have had to change springs for his weight, but that's just what it is. And then figured out the clickers and bam, like just loved it. So I think that you're right. Like there are some people who are going to throw a leg over that motorcycle and just be like, that's me in a motorcycle. Like I like the way that this performs. And I'm honestly one of those people. Like if that was that was a decision I had to make. Was, am I going to buy a 250 FX or a 250 XC? And then I was like, well, you know what? I've been on a 300 XC for so long. I really, really, really want to ride a 350 XC before I ever go to another bike. Like before I were to, so before I would maybe step down in CCs. And so that's why I still went with the KTM. But honestly, if I were to go to a 250, I would have bought an FX. And it's funny enough, after we did that review, we even had 2 different shop owners offer me great deals on FX.
Said that.
Yeah, like after we did that video, and I wanted to take them up on it, but again, like I said, like I wanted to go to that 350 first. So are these bikes available now? Are they, you know, are people taking deposits, or if they're not, are they, you know, what's the deal on the 2016s and when people are going to be able to go pick up their first 250X?
The 250X is, I mean, we've had it on the truck since September. There's still trickling into different dealers, but they're, you know, 100% available now. The 250FX, the 2016, won't be probably in dealers until, I'd say, middle of this month. But the 15s, you know, they're, you know, really and truly the 250FX. You know, there's some big rebates on the 15s right now, and they haven't made any changes to that model. The 450FX, that's going to be available same time, you know, middle of this month. You know, I think dealers are you know, but here's the funny thing for me, like when that 250FX came out, I mean, I got, you know, messages on every different form of life, like, you know, when are you going to have it on the truck, and, you know, when can we ride it? 450? All year long, people have been asking for, where's the 450? Where's the 450? But I haven't seen on my side, like as much as people said they wanted it, you know, I haven't seen near the buzz about it as the 250FX, and I don't know if that's because of the, you know, this kind of a launch after that new YZ1000 and all that stuff. Not here near the buzz. I'm not here near the buzz about the 450FX as I was the 250FX last year.
You know why? Because it's not a 350. If that was I mean, just think about it. If that was a because, and granted, I haven't ridden the 250FX, and do I want to ride it? Absolutely, I would love to ride this to see, you know, to the point of what I was trying to make. It's like a 250XC KTM was punchy to me, you know. So I knew there's no way I'm gonna ride a 450XC or even an SX, right? Like I'm too small. I don't like bikes that do that. So, but if the 450FX, you know, did like the 250FX did and kept kind of the tameness, if you will, that tractability, as Jason Rains has now coined a term, I would probably start to consider that 450. But I think maybe that they're like, you know, that 250 needs more power, that 250 needs more power. But then now they're like, wait, no, that 250 is actually pretty good. No, yeah, like, so maybe I think people have kind of like started to think, you know, now that they've actually started riding the 250s, that the 450 might be too much. Yeah. And so that's why I'm like, oh my God, if you guys had a 350 stock, because I've had issues putting big bore kits in Yamahas where they're just not as reliable. But if you get a Yamaha stock, that shit is bulletproof. So if Yamaha made a 300, a 350, or even a 400 that was just some kind of range, oh my God, you wouldn't be able to keep them. Like, they're just, people would be selling their children and paying in cash. Yeah,
there's a lot of people that ask, where's the 400? Why don't you bring the 400 back? You know, where's the 400? You know, the old 400. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, you're right. I mean, a 450 in the woods for, you know, 2-3 hours that's a lot of commitment to hold on to.
For us mere mortals. Now, you know, the guys in the XC1 class and some of the pros, now we know that they're going to need that. You know, and that's their choice to make. That's why somebody like Caleb Russell, who's amazing on a 350, rides a 350, and you got other guys that are on their 450s. Like, it's kind of so.
My dad had an old 400.
Yep.
Yeah, 2001.
I had one put a hole in the back of my leg because of that fucking kick regimen you had to go through.
Oh man, yeah, you got it. Yeah, you
top dead center,
decompression,
like a couple times. Yeah,
but pull compression release, put it down another 2 inches, and then it was quite the procedure.
I agree. Well, Jason Rains, I'm sorry that we're not going to see you anytime soon. When do we get to film, buddy?
We'll be back in Texas. I'll be back. Probably we always try to do something around Dallas. Supercross there in February. So we're trying to find a new spot. Trophy Club was awesome. So if you guys have any ideas somewhere around the Dallas Fort Worth area that's offers something off-roadish, I mean that's our biggest challenge. Trophy Club has just kind of changed its direction, I guess you could say, and we're looking to do something, just struggling to find a spot that's comparable.
Yeah, you're not changing with their direction.
Yeah, you should check out Village Creek. They got a lot of woods and then a solid motor
What is it,
too.
Village?
Yeah, have you ever heard of Village Creek?
Heard of it? Is that if I'm looking at say down in Dallas, is that east, west, north, or south?
It says south of Fort Worth. South Fort Worth.
Yeah,
but pretty close to the Metroplex though.
Pretty close to where they do Supercross.
Oh,
You know what?
Arlington,
Yeah, it's
shoot.
probably 30 minutes away, maybe.
Yeah, because Arlington, where the Supercross is, for those who don't know, like we have Dallas and Fort Worth, and then bam, Arlington. Supercross happens pretty much right in the center. So yeah, and Village Creek's about just
30
south of
minutes.
Fort Worth.
Yeah, maybe closer.
Probably pretty close to Arlington.
Yeah, I think that might not be a bad place to have it.
Moto or combination.
Oh no, they got a great motocross.
Yeah, they got they have actually a night track, a day track, a kids track.
Yeah.
And then they have a lot of woods. We've had a couple of races out there recently, so there's some really good woods out there. Really good.
Yeah.
Good to know, because that's we try to Supercross is a good time to be there, because you got people that are captive audience to work with, and then if we do something close to the Supercross, hey, we'll advertise at Supercross, and then after Supercross, what better thing to go and test a bunch of new bikes out? And if we do that, we'll have to definitely get you on that 450FX to do a comparison.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna, but I'm not gonna hit the big jumps ever. I won't hit him on my 300. I won't hit him on my 350. I'm like, you just say it. I'm a vagina,
Dude, come on.
and there's sand in it. It's just what it is.
You're
okay?
talking about pinning it earlier, and now you're just gonna chalk throttle in the face. Come on,
bro. I don't pin it and then chalk throttle. I go,
Sound like a pin and a chalk. I did.
I pretty much see. I don't ever chalk it. I just go around it. Like I don't chop
Just
it down.
stay on the gas
and then just
around it. Okay, I got you.
Like,
I got
that's
you.
why the arrows, when I lay out a race, they go like this way, really gradually around the big faces.
And then
Get
back
back on
to the
the track.
jump. Oh, jeez.
Everybody knows this. It's okay. Well, Mr. Rains, we really appreciate you coming on Seat Time and talking about the new Yamahas. And I'm sorry we didn't get a little bit more time. Obviously, we were getting some setup and the technicals and the heebies and the jeebies all figured out and stuff like that. But thank you for taking the time and chatting with us. And we will look forward to February.
Yep, well, sounds good, guys. And I appreciate you having me on again. I know, Brian, we've been working, last month or so trying to get our schedules worked out, and I appreciate you taking the time to reach out to me and get me on here.
Absolutely, dude. And I'm sorry we didn't get any video of you. You're sexier than I am, and I really wish we would have had that. I mean, maybe not Caleb, but me.
Man.
Me. No, you guys have got it. I'm the one that's slacking over here. Remember, pin at the chop, buddy. That's how I roll. Pin at the chop. It's just all what it is. Thank you, Mr. Range. You have fun in Tennessee, and we will definitely look forward to chatting to you in the 2016s.
Sounds good, guys. You guys have a good evening.
We'll try. Bye. All right. So, I mean, I'm telling you, man, when I rode that 250FX, I was like, holy yes. Like, because I've always kind of thought that when I rode the KTM 450s, or I'm sorry, 4-strokes, and I say KTM 4-strokes because that's what I had been riding. Most of my friends, most of the people around here, that's what they have. That's what I deal with, all that kinds of stuff. And it reminded me of how much I really enjoyed kind of the flow that those bikes created. Back to riding Yamahas before the KTMs and stuff like that.
You got all that engine inertia, going forward. It's,
Oh, you got it. Yeah. Yeah. I know, it's so weird to think about that. And even reading Patch's post, he talks about that, how like having the gas tank a little bit, it's centered underneath you.
Totally
And then
centers the weight.
Right. It's like he talks about how weird he thought it was going to be, but then how it turned out to actually not really be that weird. It's just like any other kind of update you're trying to make, to getting on a new bike, getting on a different bike, anything like that.
Absolutely.
So go ride it a couple times, figure out the quirkiness, and make shit happen. So what's next as we wait to get Dale lined up here? What's next in the world of Caleb and TCCRAs, Toros, winter racing, and all that? Is Torx
lots
over?
of fun
Is Torn
stuff.
over?
Lots of fun
what's going
stuff.
on?
We just finished TCCRA. Got a funny story about that.
Go on.
And then we got Torn's getting pushed back more because of the rain out. So
That sounds like everybody's.
Oh,
getting
dude,
that,
yeah,
right?
big time.
It's going to be like a spring all over
We've
again.
probably had a dozen reschedules this year. And so we got Torn going on, and I'm winning Torx right now, doing good there.
So that's not over yet.
No, and they still have, what do we have, like three races left, I think. And so I'm going down there Saturday, racing Torx, and then coming back up here, racing Sunday for Torn. And so, I think Torx will end in December, and Torn will end in January. They got pushed all the way back into January.
Man. Hello, Mr. Dale Spangler. Thank you for that, of course. Dale's like, hey, I'm on. Screw you guys. I'm just going to start talking. But that's the Dale Spangler we know and love. So you got a haircut today, buddy. You're looking pretty good.
Clean living, buddy.
Hey, a clean living. I like that. Was this in Boise, Idaho, where you live? Can you go in and say I need the whole treatment, and that's like manscaping and all, or is it just really like neck, above the neck kind of a thing?
It's definitely an above the neck, but it's definitely a nice little treatment. You get the neck shave, straight razor. I mean, it's full on real barber.
Oh, I love a straight razor. Now, obviously, I don't get a chance to do that often, but that is one of those things when you walk out of there. I mean, your face is rejuvenated, and not just because we're sexier, or babyier. I don't know, like
Baby
facier.
Dude, straight razor's good, man.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I had one.
Yeah, your girlfriend's back there being like,
due.
"Yeah, it has.
I'm
You need to
due.
get that shit taken care of, buddy."
Yeah, my barber's pretty rad. She's kind of old school, and she's into the barber arts, if you want to call it that. But she's just all about wanting to kind of share that it's kind of a. She hated when I said lost art, but
Right.
it's not supercuts. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's like, you
What's
got
that, right?
super cuts, sports cuts, and then all of a sudden you make this crazy ass jump where they all charge like $50 more than anything else, and you're at like Tony and Guy or the acoustic.
Dude, I'm kind of stuck in that, man, because I'd go to like the pro cuts, and I'd go home and have to spend 20 minutes in the mirror fixing it. Or I can spend 40 minutes trying to cut it myself, and then you jump up to the $50 and have to have an appointment. So yeah, I'm kind of floating in between all that right now, trying to figure it out.
Well,
I hate hair.
I have a lady that I really, really enjoy as a hairdresser.
Oh yeah,
If you would like me to
okay.
pass her over to you. I will give you her number. But we're not here to talk haircuts, and if we are, maybe we'll turn that into another show. I don't really know. We'll figure that out. So the big thing is we wanted to talk to Dale. Dale's always fun to talk to. You could talk beer, you could drink beer, you could talk moto, you can ride moto. But the big thing is that you've got Dirt Buzz out now. So you got the Dirt Buzz, it's like desert bark. There's a tagline, and I'm an idiot, so we're gonna go with that. But dude, where did this start? Like, what's the running behind it?
It's just something, I've been around this industry obviously for a long time, since I guess my first industry job was 1995, and it's just I don't know, I have so much experience in the industry, and I love to write, and my day job is I'm a content manager, and so it just kind of seemed like the timing was right. I love the off-road side of things, even though I came from moto. Growing up, I just feel like off-road is just sort of refreshing. It's getting back to the roots of why we want to ride motorcycles.
Absolutely.
Out riding with your buddies, drinking beer afterwards, telling telling stories, rehashing the racing. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about, I think, with off-road. And so the idea behind Dirt Buzz is just to kind of put my own little spin on things and, not just talk about dirt bikes, talk about the things that everybody is into that rides dirt bikes, whether it's an iPhone app or beer or, the man wash like I wrote about, like shower gel. I mean, just random stuff, beard oils, you name it, So my intent is to write about fun stuff that, every dirt biker kind of deals with and enjoys buying and using for products. And, just put my own kind of humorous spin on it. And it's been good for me personally, just because I felt like it sort of reawakened my creativity with writing. And so in a lot of ways, it's helped me at work, my day job as well, just because I feel like it's kind of gets my mind thinking in a different way, marketing-wise.
Yeah. It's interesting, and this comes at a time, and you and I have discussed this behind the scenes and everything, but I've brought this up in multiple shows, and I don't know if you've noticed this as you're driving a truck a lot, so you're probably not totally surfing the internet, but the past 2 or 3 months, everything just died. And I don't mean like racing stopped. I mean, websites stopped being updated. Like, we had a really good content aggregation going between Digital Off-Road, Innovation Off-Road, Off-Road Viking, and those kind of sites. And then all of a sudden, just everything dropped from my feed. Like, I go to the websites, and you could tell that it got very, very sporadic in there. And I'll be honest, I even thought, holy crap, man, if I had the time, this would be the time to just jump on the scene. But we've got way too much other stuff going on. So did you notice this? Did you feel that? Did it help kind of pique a little bit more interest towards this? Or is that just fantastic timing?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think it was good timing personally, as well as what's going on in the industry, like you just mentioned. I mean, and it's nothing against those guys. I think it's great what those guys have done, and
yeah. I still check their sites out.
Yeah, I mean, I respect how much they put into it. I mean, it's a lot of work. I'm already finding that out. Like, working a day job and then also trying to put content on a site is it's a second job, but it's also pretty rewarding. And so my thinking is what I'm trying to do is kind of complement the sites that are out there. The Janti from Enduro 21 and Digital Off-Road and Off-Road Viking, all these guys that are working hard and been out in the field for a long time. Like Rob Mitchell Films and like all the guys that have been out there doing it in the field for a long time. And I'm just going to be a guy behind a computer, but I'm also just going to be trying to have fun with it and support the industry as much as I can. And hopefully it'll be a kind of a sounding board for riders, off-road riders. If they want to share something, they have a story they want to tell, I would love to be able to kind of help bring that to a place that hopefully will, people will start to go. And, if it's once a day, just to check in and see if there's anything new, that's kind of my I guess, ultimate goal.
Yeah. Before I ask a question that could be really fun to see what your response is, what are you drinking? I see that can of greatness in your hand.
By the way, first off, in celebration of it is, it's deer season, so I figured I'd run with the beer shirt.
I totally see the semblance.
I get it.
Symbolism?
Cold.
I'm not a hunter, but I
Symbolism.
like the shirt though.
You just hunt good beer.
Cold bear.
Yeah, this is my Montucky shirt. I got this when I was visiting our friend Brian Elliott in Montana.
Is it Montana?
Yeah. So what I'm drinking is it's actually an Idaho beer called Mutton Buster Brown, and it's from Payette Brewing. So Payette Brewing's good. You up for a beer review? So I would love to do some beer reviews.
So where my questioning was going to go is, are you going to be the salty old bastard of off-road, like Steve Mathis is the salty old bastard of motocross?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely a salty bastard, but I don't know if it'll quite come out in my website. I'm not really sure where that will really go. I tend to think so far I want it to be a little bit more just a sense of humor, have some fun with it, put a funny spin on it, and I don't know. Yeah, just have more fun with it than anything. Maybe down the road, maybe there'll be some guest writers that might pipe in with some op-eds. We'll see.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be fun. No, I'm glad that it's out there because we need it. And I say we is in the very large
Community.
off-road. Caleb, you might be able to speak to this. I don't know if you've ever thought about it. I don't know if you've ever noticed anything like this, but off-road in the very large global sense of it seems like that's where more market share would be, in the sense that they're going to sell more bikes because more families are just going to go into their RV and they're going to go ride. And they're going to go to some kind of place that might have a motocross track, but more likely it's going to have trails. They're not racing, they're just not riding. They're off-roading, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think you see that Europe's pretty big on the off-road scene. I think more. I think at the, the kind of the bar, of motocross off-road riders, it's a little bigger in Europe,
Right.
and in a global sense. Yeah, you're right.
But it's like, why do you think we don't? That, like, we've seen Seat Time is almost on our 5th year, right? And in that time, we've seen Off-Road Journal. We've seen, all kinds of sites come and go, and then, a lot of sites just kind of stay at a level. Again, not that they're not doing a great job, but it's just that the money in the marketplace isn't there. People don't spend money in off-road. Industry people don't spend money on marketing in off-road. Much better way to put it. Why do you think that is? Yes,
Supercross looks better on TV.
Well, but is it just because it's on TV?
I mean, you got me there. You got me there.
You got to think that it is, but at the same time, that's one of the things that I like about what Fly did, and not just because you're on, Dale, but the Ride Life campaign. I love that because that completely, as Dale said, gets back to the root of it. It's not, trying to become the next James Stewart. It's not going out and riding motocross, your 30-minute motos whenever the track's open to your age group kind of a thing. It's, I just want to go ride my dirt bike, and I would love this new helmet, Dad, because it's bitching and I saw it in this magazine. And it's this kid working his ass off to go get this kind of stuff. Like, I feel like if more people in the industry did that kind of marketing, then more people in the industry would care about that aspect of it, opposed to just grabbing on to the people that are on TV and putting money behind them.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you just quoted a Rocky Mountain ad. Pretty sure a kid worked day chores all day in the ad, and then Dad bought him a helmet.
Well, I think that's kind
actually,
of like, it's probably a little bit of both, but it's definitely part of the whole Ride Life thing. It's kind of, but
yeah.
Now, off of that, Dale, you did work on the Ride Life campaign, so it might seem jaded that you would discuss this, but what are your thoughts on kind of that arena of why it seems that it's so hard to get people in the industry to think that they should spend money on the greater numbers versus the select people that watch that are just going to then ask for discounts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of like it's hard not to pay attention to the bright shiny object, which is Supercross, and there's not quite the same luster on off-road racing. It's maybe not quite as exciting, and like you said, the television element and the hype around the racers and the big paid factory riders and all that stuff. But when it comes down to it, like the everyman rider. Probably a large percentage are the people out trail riding, going to the practice track, not even racing, if they're going to ride motocross. So, I think there's a huge percentage out there that in some ways kind of gets, I wouldn't say ignored, but, that's kind of where that Ride Life campaign sort of came from. It was more about, like the commercial where the kid, the kid works for the helmet, and he appreciates it that much more. And, it wasn't about bright, shiny products in there. It was more about just the lifestyle, promoting the lifestyle of motorcycling. And so, in some ways, I feel like that campaign sort of like turned and went 180 of what a lot of the standard industry advertising is, which is to, product, whips in the corners, they're going through the whoops, like the same old sort of endemic things that you see. And sort of we kind of looked at it like, let's go the other way. Let's kind of appeal to people's emotion, and the reason that they even started riding a motorcycle. And so, to me, like that's a lot more fun to do that type of marketing than it is to, do the same old, whips, turns, jumps, whatever. It's kind of refreshing to me.
Oh, I completely agree. Since we're talking about it, what's the response been? How have people reacted to kind of that campaign? Is it something that the reaction has been so good that you guys are going to be able to grow kind of that 180 campaign that you've kind of worked with, or not?
Yeah, we definitely saw a really positive response. We had a lot of people say, like, that was just so, not to use the same word again, but refreshing to just see something different, and not just be so product centric, and just do something that was just kind of to help promote the whole sport of motorcycling and motocross. And so it was really well received. And that particular campaign is probably kind of seen its course, but we've got some things in the works that are kind of build on that'll be similar in vein to that style. And so some more good things coming in that style. I think you'll see coming up next year.
Well, like we talk about, we have a chat room, and we've got a couple good people in there chatting with us. And the Space Tornado, no idea who that is, love the name, had a good point. We were just talking about
Andrew Campo.
There you go. Oh, that son of a bitch. So, unfortunately, it's Andrew Campo. Well, he did have a really good point, is that so a potential first-time rider sees it on TV. We're talking Supercross or motocross. And they are either A, likely terrified, or B, the parents are likely terrified.
I say B, big time.
And so
I can do that.
There's no chance, there's no discussion in Supercross or motocross on TV to say how to possibly work either that rider, that potential rider who's now interested in the sport, or B, the parents who are seeing their child potentially be interested in this sport. There's no discussions within that TV realm of how to get involved. It's just add, as you say, of whip, whoop, whoop, kind of like product.
Cool for the advanced riders,
right?
Not everybody.
Opposed to what we saw with Ride Life, which I think is a great thing to see, but the problem is that it would be even better to see if the race organizers actually, like, oh, and granted, it's going to sound stupid, but it's like, oh, interested in Supercross? Check out this site, which then completely, kind of shows you ways to get into it. And it's not just going and buying the bike and getting the gear and then going to a motocross track. There's so much more that can go along. And I think a lot of people too, like we've learned, your father's so ingrained in the sport. My father's so ingrained in the sport. There's so much more family aspect to this community in sport than what you see on TV. You know what I mean? Because what we see on TV is it's a sport. I mean, that's it. It's a professional sport, period. And so, I don't know, like NASCAR. Like, how the hell do you get in a NASCAR? I don't know. But at some point in time, some kid figured out that they could drive a car, and they did it. But you got to think, too, that this is the same thing. There's dads and families out there doing that, driving cars of whatever degree you do to get into that. The community that surrounds that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you need ads, going towards, entry level, family riding together, stuff like that. So that's.
So we need more Ride Life, and I think I would love to either A, be in one of your Ride Life campaigns, or, B, I still think, I don't know, man, Fly Catalog 2017. I feel it, man. I feel it. It's getting there.
Yeah, I can't wait for like maybe 10 years from down the road and we're still in this little banter. It's going to be fun. I look forward to it, actually.
One day, you're going to be my neighbor, and I'm just going to come over and be like, God, I've been drinking, and is it going to happen today? Is this going to happen? You'll be like, nope. I'll be like, I see you tomorrow. What do you think? Is that how it's going to be in 10 years, or would you just rather get me in the damn catalog and get it over with?
Yeah, probably at some point I will probably reach my limit, and then you will be in the catalog.
See, the thing is, I don't get it. My wife's hot.
Not here,
like,
maybe right now.
He could totally just be like, okay, cool, great, whatever. I don't need to hire a photographer. I've got friends. I can be like, all right, cool, get us some fly stuff. My wife and I will take a couple pictures. They can use one of them, and I'm like, yeah, woo, it happened. And we can even focus on my wife, and I can be in the background, use a nice bokeh setting. and I'm like shallow depth of field, and I'm all out of focus.
Are we talking about dirt bikes still?
But I'm in there. It's fly catalog. It's close. It's close.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what those things are on the side of your face right now. Are they pork chops, or I'm still trying? I never really understand.
I don't either, to be honest. I don't know where they came from. Like one day I just started shaving, and then like I kind of like, you have a routine. You just like get in there and you do stuff, and you're like, oh, okay. You just follow that routine. One day I didn't, and like I had chops, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep them. Yep. I'm just going to keep them.
I had some of those when I was 17.
Yeah, back in Z Day. Shut your mouth. And then I went on the Rip to Cabo, and I almost got the nickname Chops because of them. Like, and I was like, really? These are not manly chops. Like, why would you even like want to give this little puny guy the nickname Chops? But hey, I don't know, Dale. To answer your question, I'm sorry.
Speaking of Rip to Cabo, I had a good time. Went out with Cameron Steele after the Enduro Cross this past weekend, and got to catch up with him. So, yeah, such a rad dude. You're a lucky guy to be able to have gone on that ride.
Dude, it was epic.
Like,
it was.
Yeah, just hearing about what he goes through on that, just to plan for it all year long, and just, yeah, it's pretty incredible.
It was I literally had to like call my dad and be like, I have to send the email that says I can't go this year. And he goes, I know. Because he knows I can't afford it again. And so it was just like,
money.
So and then I saw
that was one of the things we talked about with Cameron was, that thing could be probably, it could be cheaper, but like the thing is with Cameron is he doesn't cut corners. He wants to do the best that it can be and as safe as possible and have the right support crew and I mean that's just the way he operates. He's one of those guys like, he probably under promises and over delivers. So it's I think it's pretty admirable what he's doing with that whole deal.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because his dad is called Big Daddy, and my dad is called Big Daddy. So that's why we like started, like we realized that in the midst of all these emails that when he was talking about Big Daddy, he was not talking about my father because I was like, how the fuck did he know that my dad's called Big? And so that's why like we transitioned to my dad starting to be Papa Pierce earlier this year because we realized we're like, oh, we're gonna go on this trip. And we need to all start realizing that he's Papa Pierce now, not Big Daddy. So, well, not him.
Nicknames
per se,
are getting...
But it's weird.
But one inside
weird.
joke, next time you talk to him, he's going to probably hate me for this, but, you'll have to ask him about Carmen. Hey, Carmen. You'll have to ask him about that one.
You got it, buddy. It will happen. All right, Mr. Space Tornado, Andrew Campo, thanks for being in the chat room. We will look into the Scrambler community, and we will make it happen. So, Dale, tell us what's coming up, what we should expect from Dirt Buzz in the near future and maybe into 2016.
Well, in the immediate future, I'm really just focusing on getting content on the site. Obviously, the site is literally a week and a half old, and so I've worked my butt off just to get the content that I have on there, and so writing stories when I can, and I'm going to probably have a few more. Every Friday is going to be a beer review. That's my goal. Every Friday's beer review. Every Monday is Monday Buzz. So I'm going to work hard to kind of bring all the race results from all the major series around the country and have it to be one place where someone can go every Monday and they know they can go there and find the results from national events, because that's one thing I noticed too. It seems like you have to pop around to 10 different sites to find out all the results. And so my idea is to try and, it's pretty tough. I've had to email some promoters and, try and get them to send me the results, because it's just, a lot of them are just buried in websites, for all these different race series.
Or buried in a Facebook post of a Facebook post of a Facebook post that a rider got tagged in. It's like... Exactly.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know what you're going through.
It's kind of like an education process, and I want to do it in a as nice a way as possible. But I want to try and help these series, by getting the results out there and have it be something where they're, people look forward to seeing that every Monday. And obviously it's not anything new. To be honest, that's modeled off of what Racer X did such a good job at, the Monday wake up call. And
right.
But it's to be able to do that for off road, some of the smaller, series around the country, and have it be something that's consistent will be, hopefully that's a goal. And then, of course, at least one product review a week, whether it's beer, the beer review's on Friday, but whether it's a music review, iPad, something, whatever, an app for your phone. It's just going to be totally random, off the wall stuff that people are interested in. So, I'm also going to New Orleans next week, so I'm going to go tour the Abita Brewery, which I'm sure you probably have had some Abitas many times.
I've left there and gotten home and didn't know that it happened. Yeah, it's happened.
So yeah, I plan on doing that, like write a review on the Abita Brewery, and then I'm going to 2 shows. The Revivalists are playing Friday and Saturday night, and so I already did a review on their latest album, and I was pretty stoked. They actually posted up my review on their website, and so that was pretty cool to see. I was pretty happy about that. And then so I'm going to go to their sound check and hopefully meet those guys, maybe even get a little interview with them. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll be bringing just some different off the wall stuff that hopefully will interest people that land on the site, and they'll still be able to get their moto here and there, and their off road, just results, fun, good behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. Well, when you're going to New Orleans, I know you're trying to do the beer reviews and stuff like that. What we would like you to do for us, we have our side project, the Proper Pint, which is kind of like our beer stuff, if you will. So properpint.co. If you want to do, we would love it if you could do like a whole post or video or however you wanted to treat that of, kind of like your top 5 New Orleans beers, like beers that are that you had in New Orleans that maybe are Louisiana centric. Something like that, because I again, exactly what you're saying. Like, there are people out there that are like myself, that are like you. We like moto, we do this kinds of stuff, but at the same time, we like beer. We like trying different types of beer, and it's not just about, as so many people out there think, it's not just about getting drunk. It really is about. It's really about kind of like savoring and flavoring all these different funky, eccentric things that are out there in life. That's why it's so hard to get married. And there's so many different. I'm just kidding. That was shitty. My wife's awesome.
Well, honestly, I think it comes back to we all like cool. We all like nice things. You know, whether it's a nice haircut, a good beer, or whatever. I mean, that's kind of the angle I'm coming in at. So just gonna again keep having fun with it, and hopefully you guys will get a couple laughs out of some of the dumb things I write, and hopefully we'll get a following.
Don't worry, I already have gotten more than a couple laughs out of the dumb things that you've written. I'm just kidding, but seriously, we love you. Thank you. No, I'm excited to see where this goes. You're going to learn a lot, and I know you're already learning a lot quickly. It's ridiculously tough. It's so weird that it's so hard. And what's even weirder is that it's about the first 3 to 6 months that are the worst, because you don't have a process. But then what happens after that first 3 to 6 months is then you find a process. So then the next 6 months, you actually get stuck in a process, and then you don't grow. So it's one of those, it's that weird juggling act of like, okay, well, like, what do I want to be consistent at? What do I want to not really care how it comes across, but I want to make sure I do, like, and then where am I going to grow? So I look forward to helping you figure it out, because I've got lots of ideas, but I don't ever have a place for them, and Steven knows I don't have time for it. So if I can word vomit some ideas to you and you can take them and run with it, hopefully it helps, right?
Well, hopefully a year from now I'll be back on the show and talking about it, and I'll still be going. I know it's not going to be easy, and like I said, timing was right, and props to you, man, for as long as you've been doing what you're doing. I mean, it's not easy. I know, like you said, it's after a while it becomes routine, and at first I'm already like, a week and a half in, and I'm already dreaming about things that I need to do, and waking up at, an hour before I normally get up, because I'm like, my mind's already thinking about something I want to write or something. So it's kind of good and bad that way, but like I look at it as like it's definitely more towards the good, because it's like I said before, it's getting the creative process going in my mind. That I feel like the last time that I had this feeling was when I was in college and having to write, creative writing papers, and so it's it's kind of exciting in that aspect.
Hell yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The second you mentioned college, I really thought we were gonna have a whole different conversation. My college stories are nothing about like being creative. It's just about bad. I mean, amazing times. But okay, let's not go there. Rabbit hole. Dale, thank you very much for coming to the show. Thank you for all you do in the off-road community with Fly, with WPS. We really appreciate it. Obviously, Fly is a huge sponsor of Seat Time, and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, so the website's dirtbuzz.com, and then same thing on Instagram at dirtbuzz, the dirtbuzz on Twitter, and then Facebook, just dirtbuzz. So yeah, appreciate anybody who follows me or anybody who's already followed, and again, hopefully I can just bring something to the off-road community and just help out the best that I can.
You can bring a beer or a bear or a deer, whatever your shirt says. That's what you can bring to the community.
Beer.
I love it. I love it. Thanks, man. We will chat soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. All right, Caleb.
Yo.
This weekend, where are you racing?
Oh, South Texas. Where are we racing at, Haley? The countings on it. Joe's place. Yeah, somewhere around Columbus.
All right.
And then podiums at 7, get in the car, drive 5 hours back up here, get a little bit of sleep, and out at Torn at 7:30 in the morning, and do some practice, and then race again.
Woohoo!
So, double headers. Love it. Love it. A lot of fun. A lot of
riding, a lot of racing.
So I got a funny story for you.
Go on.
So we had the last round of TCCRA 3 weeks ago, and so all I had to do was finish to win, right? And you get a kick of this. So I was behind Cameron, and on the first lap, and it was a little bit dusty, and we come into this road section, and about 100 feet, and then hang a right. And anyways, he blew up the corner. I couldn't see, and I knew I was coming into it too hot, but it was just too dusty, so I just lock up the brakes, right? And so I'm sliding. I'm like, okay, I'm going to blow the corner a little bit. Next thing you know, I'm airborne, right? And then I just hit the ground. I'm like, all right, what's going on? So kind of dust settles a little bit. Start looking around. I'm in a hole like the size of your room. It's like 6 foot deep. It's a big washout. I'm like, oh crap. And like I can't get out because there's walls around me, and then there's roots on the other side. And so by this time, I'm trying to get out, and people are coming by, blowing this corner up, and dust just falling and just settling in here. So I'm starting to freak out because I can't breathe.
Well, how much like width? So you saying
it's probably it's about 8 feet wide, 8 feet deep to the roots, and then about 6 foot high, and just solid washout. And so I figured out I couldn't get out, so I had to break the roots. So I'm jumping on these roots. Well, I'm trying to balance and then jump. So I break the first root, break the second root, finally get out. I have to go down into the creek, go over a tree, and then come up a wall, and then get back on the track. And I'm 4 minutes down. I'm like, okay, well, and yeah, because for a minute I was like, I'm not going to be able to get out of here. And I have to finish to win the championship.
Yeah. But
I finally get out of there, and then I just had to fight the whole race, and I caught second on the last lap. And so it was a fight, but yeah, I thought you'd get like that, get stuck in a hole. So Cameron actually he agreed to a rematch because we're going back to Patriot Park for round 2,
Toro, yeah.
round 3 of Toro.
I don't know what it is
so
now.
I think they just moved around.
The first race is already jacked up.
Yeah, but I'm actually taking Toro off this year. Get a breather because we added up. I've raced 30 races this year so far. So gonna finish the season, do one Toro, and take a little bit of time off. So, but yeah, he agreed to a rematch. So coming for you.
That'll be fun. It'll be fun. I like that
sir.
You guys are still kind of going back and forth like at each other.
Oh man, yeah, like
you guys have some great
constant,
battles.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've been battling each other for 7 years, but yeah, we have Buffalo Wild Wings every Thursday night. So it's kind of our
just to keep your training on track.
Yeah, so we can talk crap to each other. He's 50-cent wings. We all get 50-cent wings, and we're like, let's go get some Mexican food. No, 50-cent wings.
I'm sure she loves it. She's like, oh my god, get out of the car.
Oh,
it'd probably be the same with Mexican too. So
yeah, well, no, she likes Mexican. But
you put up with.
Oh, we're talking about gas. Oh, I'm a little late to that one. Wings don't give you gas. That's not a known thing.
Whatever. All the crap on that sauce.
What?
what?
Oh, I go mild, man. I don't weird it up.
You'd be like, why is my butt? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any wings backlash yet.
None.
No. Well, normally I get
One
the
day.
sliders, but they just took them off the menu, so I don't know what to do.
First world problems, huh?
First world problem.
They took my sliders off the Buffalo Wild Wings
That's right.
menu.
So yeah, that's what's going on in the local racing world.
I like it.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, we don't get a chance to. We just trying to keep a format, blah blah blah. We just don't get a chance to focus on Texas too much, which we used to do a lot at the very beginning. But it's a little,
so much going on.
What I like
broad scheme of things
about having you on and other local racers when we can get them on is that you're in the scene. You get a chance to talk about that, what's going on, and we can kind of keep everybody a little bit more in tune with that kind of stuff.
Talk about the local stuff.
Keep as much to our roots as we can, because honestly, that's
Absolutely.
the kind of stuff that got us started in this whole thing. So
You racing Toro this year?
I'm not. Like I said, I was supposed to go race a mountain bike race this coming weekend in Austin, but we're not going to that either. Steven and I got a lot of stuff going on in 2016. A lot of new things that we're starting. A lot of
Cool.
old things that we're growing too at that point. So,
Like what?
well, you'll know. It's not for the
some low key stuff.
Yeah, it's not for the podcast or for the web show at this point in time. Anyway, it will be at some point. So.
In the works.
But it's just like, yeah, it's like it starts adding up. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna go spend $100 going to this race or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like it's always changes, but still, you're like, you know what? That money could be used here so much better. So that you just start making these weird, stupid decisions, and then you think about life and kids and paying for school, and you're like, oh my god, this shit's real.
I have no money.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, like I'm like, why am I in college all over again? That's what it feels like. But hopefully, at least now, one day there'll be more money. I don't know. It's just a repetitive cycle. It's very weird. Though,
you keep finding more things to spend it on, and
I know it's ridiculous. But what I want to do is I want to ride my dirt bike more, and that's a big thing about that's going to be coming up next year. Is that we're going to be doing that, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Be a little bit less racing, a lot more getting out there and doing a little bit. Taking the idea behind Seat Time Adventures and kind of bringing that more to a little bit of a low key, to a weekend atmosphere to remind people, just like we're talking about with the Ride Life campaigns that they've been running. It's not just about racing. It's not just about going to these events and spending all this money. That sometimes, having a good day with, for 6 hours with 6 of your buddies, just effing around on 2 hills. Can be
that's the best.
Just as much fun as like a whole weekend of racing, and so that's one of the big things that I want to revisit next year.
And by 2 hills, you're talking about Taylor Park, and by and you're talking about Colorado.
Well, we're going back, yeah. So
they're talking about mountains, talking about Taylor, yeah.
So one of the big things that is going to be doing that, and this is one thing that we were going to talk about, is next week we will have our Seat Time Adventures video. We're going to release it live on the show.
Cool.
So next Tuesday is November 17th. Steven knows he's got 7 days to get it done. He's been working on it, so he's got 7 more days to finish.
And so this is all the footage.
It's all edited down, and it'll be kind of like kind of like we did for the when I did the Baja Rally. We put together a 10 to 15 minute long documentary. So this is going to be a full on, edit of what we did at Seat Time Adventures 2015. And again, and then after that, we're going to have our Seat Time Adventures meeting. So anybody, again, and this is open to anybody. If you want to Skype into that conversation, if you want to come to the Seat Time studio, which Caleb is just so lavishly part of right now, you're more than welcome, because the biggest thing is we don't want to make all these decisions for riders. We want riders to tell us what they would like to do. And then, sure, there will be some financial obligations involved, but that's just because of what it takes to bring these events to fruition. Just like we were talking about with the Rip to Cabo. It's expensive, but the reason it's expensive is because Cameron makes all the right decisions for the riders before they get there. And it's the same thing with us. Yeah, there's going to be some financial obligation to come on Seat Time Adventures, but that's just because of the fact that when you show up with your motorcycle, you ride, we have everything for you, it's taken care of, and then you go home, and then we put the video out and you relive it for the entire year. Like that's what we want to kind of keep bringing to everybody's attention. So look for that next week. That should be a good time. You can go to adventures.seattime.co. There's a contact form there. That reaches me personally. If you would like to be involved in that conversation, let us know, and we'll do it. Maybe we'll just do a Google Hangout. That might actually be a little bit easier to do to get multiple people
Good
involved in
idea.
that conversation. So yeah, we'll figure that out. We'll let everybody know where they're going to be. This is Seat Time. So this has been episode 188. It was awesome getting a chance to talk to Jason Rains. Steven, I don't know what we're going to need to do, but I'm just really getting tired of not seeing all these beautiful faces. We're going to figure that out. We need to get the sexy back. And then, of course, talking to Dale Spangler about Dirt Buzz that's been going on. So, man, it's been fun. Thank you, Caleb, for coming in. Good luck, and congrats on, finishing that race to get your championship. And then
Thank you. Yeah.
Congrats on getting out of the hole.
Yeah, man. It's a bigger deal than it seems.
I can only imagine.
Like, it was like, I thought it was
especially because you're claustrophobic and you were
man.
crying, little baby. Like, why are you tearing up? Because you won? No, because I didn't think I'd get out of that hole.
Freaking dirt in your lungs, dude. Ugh.
Yep, such a baby.
Bad.
Gas it and chop. Gas it and chop.
That's right.
So, again, seattime.co is where you can find all the information about Seat Time. That is where we archive all of the shows. I cannot get Stitcher to get their shit together, and I apologize to everybody out there that is a Stitcher follower of the show. You can find us on iTunes. Again, you can use the RSS feed on the website. You grab that to then just go and put in any podcasting app. If you wanted the audio only, you can do that. Of course, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/SeatTime. We are on the Twitters at SeatTime_CO, and of course on Instagram, which is just easy enough at SeatTime. Man, it'd be great if you follow us, friend us, like us, tweet us real hard. Just have fun with it. It's internet. Don't treat it too serious because we try not to. Thank you again to all of our great sponsors, Fly Racing, Kenda Tire, and Stillwell Performance. Their links are in all the descriptions, all the comments. Please give them some clicks. Go to your local dealers. Ask for the cool stuff. Caleb Ramsey, thank you again for being on the show. Episode 188. We will be back next week with Seat Time Adventures and the meeting. So thank you. Woohoo! Peace.